The mics are live. Hello, everyone. You have entered the battle phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard. I was printed in a parallel rare exclusively. Joining me, as always, is everyone's favorite co-host who was printed in one set 30 years ago and has never gotten a reprint, Derringer.
I'm just a common.
And joining us also is a longtime friend of the channel who was once printed in a secret rare prismatic foil rarity, but is now available in a peasant rare in a structure deck. Moredoor.
Tap 2, giant growth, swing for get lethal. Response?
Wrath of God.
Mirror Force.
Both of those things don't work. Wrath of God is not an instant. Mirror Force? Okay.
Welcome everyone. We have Ziggy and Lurkbraun in the chat. Welcome guys. Lurkbraun, I hope you had a happy birthday, and hope to hear. He says he just dodges easy, and I hope you have some stuff from Comic-Con to tell us. So let's see here. I guess with that being said, you guys know what's cool about birthdays?
They happen once
It's
a
This
year.
Week in Nerd.
What?
Also known as our main phase. We've recently changed the This Week in Nerd to the main phase.
Okay, This Week in Nerd. You said that so fast, it kind of all blended together into This Week in Nerd.
This Week in Nerd! So, I got a couple of things that you guys have handed to me, and I got a couple of things that I just have to talk about that I found lying around on websites.
Shoot.
Official websites, mind you, not these secondhand Twitter accounts that think that they can tell me what's what. I'm the Midnight Bard. You don't know. He's
I like my second-hand Twitter accounts.
First off, the global challenge for 2023 on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is going on, and it ends today. So, if you guys are Pokemon battlers and you have Scarlet and Violet and would like to test your mettle against the best of the best in the world, that's going on right now. You know, assemble your team. You can battle other trainers from all across the world. All you gotta do is go to the online battle thing. I forget what it's called. You guys Pokemon trainers?
I used to play. I kind of stopped around Sword and Shield is when I actually stopped playing, and I think I stopped playing competitively styled after like Diamond and Pearl. After that, it was just like, look, I'm just gonna play the game, collect the cool Pokemon, like collect all my poison types, and that's it.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's like I realized like, okay, I'm not able to sit and play the games that much, and they still mostly feel the same.
Mm.
So, and also I just didn't like kind of the future designs of Scarlet and Violet. It was a little too techy for me as opposed to Pokemon, and I did not like the look of the
box
new
legendary? The terrastalizing.
Yeah, I did not like the look of that. It's like you just change types on the fly, and like, oh man, and it looks so dumb.
You know what? It's people do some really really cool stuff with it, but it's also like sometimes it's not as difficult to deal with as you would think. You know, like oh no, I have a Sylveon in front of me, but he just changed to a steel type, so now I can't take advantage of his weakness. It's like, okay, so switch to my fighting type and do whatever I have to do, right?
Yeah, I get that. It also just looks really dumb to me, and I like my aesthetics a lot, and when something messes with the aesthetics, I'm like,
Yeah. But yeah, so that's going on. ZiggyBot has joined us. Hello, Ziggy, and you're not late. You're just in the nick of time. A wizard arrives exactly when he intends to. And also, Lurkbraun says, Sand Attack looking real good right now in the competitive scene. Yeah, maybe. I actually haven't been keeping up with the competitive scene since I think the last time I tried to play competitively was in Sun and Moon, and I basically had to bow out whenever a guy figured out how to make Shedinja meta relevant, and I was like, okay, you got me. I'm good.
Ah, yes.
He took him to
Sun
a
and
world
Moon.
championship.
Sun and Moon, the stall format of Toxapex, and like I forget who the partner was with Toxapex, but they would just like wall everything.
Yeah, that was indeed a format. Right now, what was it like? Goldango and what's the other one? Mousehold seem to be just like sweeping. Everyone's like, yeah, them's good.
Oh, it's an aggressive format this time. Okay.
It's an aggressive format, yeah. Goldango is actually kind of hard to take down because his passive ability, good as gold, is just stupid. I don't remember exactly what it does. If you're curious, look it up. I bet you'll have like the same reaction I did, where like, oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, no, I know they directly nerfed a lot of the stall defensive Pokemon from Sword and Shield over. Like Toxapex lost Scald, they can't learn it anymore, and you can't port it over if it has it.
Nope.
And they did something to the other defensive Pokemon that just made them not able to do those jobs as well.
Yeah.
So.
And right here we got next up is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in theaters now. Yeah,
I have not seen it yet. Have either of you?
No.
I've not seen the first or second one.
Yeah, Dare's not impressed by Hollywood.
I don't really like superhero stuff, and I don't really like going to movies either.
He got called by Hollywood. They said we're gonna make a Derringer movie and we'd like your involvement. It looks like we're back. Okay, can everyone see us? Out of curiosity? Yeah, okay. Siggy says, I think we back. Good.
Really quiet, though.
Yeah, that's because I had the microphones turned off. Alright, so we're back. I don't know what's been going on with what do you call it? Shoot, I can't remember the name. OBS lately, but it's just been doing stuff. So no, we haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Dare hasn't seen, like the first or the second one. But yeah, we this do be the thing that's been going on right now. Is it's in theaters. So if you guys haven't seen it,
But you know what we have seen?
The exclusive leaks for the next structure deck on Master Duel. Yeah, next structure deck on Master Duel. Blackwings.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy
Oh.
that you actually
A classic card deck.
A classic card deck that got new support recently. So you have the Blackwing Assault Dragon, which is actually really good. You technically have to run one copy of Blackwing Dragon, which is not good. So, I mean, you kind of have to do that just as a bridge to get your plays going, but the new Blackwing...
It's an assault card.
Yeah.
So the assault cards are automatically really good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So like the new Blackwing deck is actually pretty good. It's a synchro spam deck, and you can run Blackwings almost pure. You don't have to use any of the Raid Raptor stuff like he had to do before, just to kind of end on like full Armor Master and Ultimate Falcon. So, I mean, you could still do that. I mean, Ultimate Falcon's a good card, so I mean. And
I absolutely love playing against Blackwings and just sitting there for like 30, 40 minutes listening to my opponent just go, and I use No Thugs effect to burn for 800, and then I get an extra special summon, and then I summon Collude, and then I synchro into it, and it's like, shut up, dude. Shut up. I'm going to kaiju your ass as soon as you pass turn, and that's going to be it.
And that's going to be it. You've been kaiju'd. Enjoy your Gamma Seal, loser.
Well, we're on the topic of Yu-Gi-Oh! Did you think you would ever live to see the day that Super Heavy Samurai was meta relevant?
I did not. And mind you, I built Super Heavy Samurai after everyone agreed that they were bad. So You know, like
Yeah.
they came out and they were strong in Duel Links for like a format, you know. So it was kind of like that. That's around the time when I was like, oh, I like these. These are cool. So I built the deck in the TCG, and it was like, yeah, they're not good. But like now, for some reason, they're out playing Labyrinth using no
But you
spells or
say
traps, and
you.
I'm like, what
I
is
was gonna
happening?
say you say for some reason that some reason is that they can optimally put three like omni negates and three monster negates on board. And it's just like, okay, I guess that's fair.
Well,
Yeah,
that does seem helpful. That does seem like it would push something into meta relevance.
yeah, that is exactly. And also they have like the access to that one pendulum card. What is it, like 5 Rainbow Magician? That if you play it, you just win.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember what it does, but I know that a lot of people are running it and saying it like, yeah, tell your
it
opponent
wins you
to.
the game is what it does.
Okay, okay. Siggybot says, I thought you were going to talk about the trailer leak for the FNAF movie. I didn't know that that was a thing. We'll have to look into that. Let's see, but I did want to talk about like the apparently the Saint Seiya manga live action Knights of the Zodiac film, which is now in Japan. Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya being like one of those 1980s anime, you know, like with those 1980s aesthetic that shows up every now and then. Apparently, the manga is just amazing, but like, you know, the anime always falls short. But now they have a live action movie, and it's doing fairly well in the box office
Oh, it's already out.
in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know,
It's one of like the Japanese film adaptions.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, you
I,
know, those Japanese anime film adaptations that sometimes are good and other times not so much.
they always go for real manga anime accurate costuming that
Yeah.
always looks slightly off on a live action person.
Yeah, like, you know, whenever I saw live action Ichigo Kurosaki, I was like, no. uh, the Hollows looked okay in that movie, but that was about it. King of Canadian Hill has joined us. Hello. Next up, the Pokemon Company is making it really easy for you to pick up a Pikachu plushie that is unique to you. Because this series of Pikachu plushies have variations in a number of things. So their ear shapes will be different, their ear positions will be different, their eyes, their mouths, tail positions, arms, everything. So no two Pikachu plushies from this series will be the same. Or it's going to be very rare for you to find one that's exactly the same as the others. It's actually super cute. And hold on, let me put the picture up. They did put a picture where they had like all the different kinds just kind of like sitting side by side, and it's quite a bit of them actually. Hold on, make it big to fit on screen.
Make big.
Make big. It's what
You gotta collect all of them.
yeah. We were talking about whales earlier and how, you know, they like to collect things. I kind of imagine that that's what's gonna happen here with this because
No, you know there's some Pikachu whale collectors out there who will
yes,
just like, well, I gotta get them all.
you gotta get them all. And so yeah, like right here you can see that there's off the top of my head, I'm bad at estimating numbers, but there's like 30 different Pikachus here. And you can see like their facial expressions.
There's 22.
There's 22. Good. I was very close. So you just exactly what Lurkbraun is saying. Go out there to the Pikachu store and find your soulmate Pikachu. There will be one that is precisely for you. That this
Could
will
I have
be.
one that's actually willing to evolve into a Raichu and be useful?
I'm sure there's one. So don't know what else to tell you there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Besides the Pikachus, I guess. Oh, what are we watching this week, guys? Oh wait.
I have. Oh, go ahead.
Actually, Mordor, one thing. This was actually something that you did tell me about. Magic has been previewing the Doctor Who stuff.
Oh, yeah, the Doctor Who Commander decks.
Yes.
I am not a. Magic is my game. I am not a fan of Doctor Who. I'm probably not going to be buying these. But I am not one of those people who hate the universes beyond kind of bringing in other IPs on principle.
Mhm.
Because I realized when they announced the Lord of the Rings set, oh no, I'm okay with them as long as it's an IP I like.
Yeah.
And they're doing an interesting kind of mechanic with this where, okay, the people who like the Doctor, there's like one deck is the Doctor Who villains, your Daleks, your yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But the other three are different Doctors, like hey, the Ninth Doctor, the popular one.
Yeah, like the one that I have right now on right there is the white, red, and blue timey-wimey box that says that it contains Doctors 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also have the companions from the show, because I know like big part of the Doctor Who fandom, like, okay, they like the different companions for the Doctor, and the decks are set up in such a way that you can mix and match Doctors and companions, even across. If you wanted to like customize your deck, you can even get like one of the other Doctor Commander decks and like mix and match companions.
Okay, that's interesting. I do like the sound of that. And like you said, I'm not one of these people that it's a fan of like seeing IPs that I love in other things. So like Magic with Doctor Who for me was kind of like, I don't know, but like I say that, but I'm still gonna get the Doctors 9, 10, and 11 box because
Oh, and I'm definitely gonna buy the Lord of the Rings set when it comes out.
Yeah. And
so there's plenty of people out there who will buy this. So
I'm sure, and I'm gonna have a hard time finding this specific one because Doctor 9 was like by and large the fan favorite, and kind of for the same reasons that Henry Cavill is loved as The Witcher because he's a fan of the property, and David Tennant was such a huge fan of Doctor Who that whenever he got the role, I mean, he told all these stories about how it was his dream as a kid to play Doctor Who, and just like one thing led to another, and he just got lucky and ended up in the role. Also married to the lady who is the fourth Doctor's daughter. So
yeah, he really got involved in the property.
Yeah, he really did. So I don't know.
How much of a flex would that be, do you think? Like, let's just say, for example, David Tennant became a Magic player, rolled up to a LGS, like, hey guys, want to play some Commander, and just plops down a deck with his face on it.
Okay, look, I'm only a small-time actor, but I'm telling you right now, if I ever get a role in anything that's in the pop culture, I'm getting everything with my face on it, 100%. So like if I land a role in, like, say for example, like recently we've been playing Fire Emblem on stream, right? And obviously I'm not gonna land a role in a Fire Emblem mainline game right away, but they might put me in Fire Emblem Heroes, right? Where
there may be a spot open for like Grunt number 3.
Right. So like for example, like one of the characters that just became famous for no reason is the guard at the entrance to the monastery in Fire Emblem Three Houses. That he's just there. He's just a guard that's there, and every time you talk to him, he says, "Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report." And then immediately after, he tells you something where I'm like, that's the kind of thing you have to report. Like, greetings, Professor, nothing to report. By the way, there's been bandits attacking a village nearby. Like, what do you mean there's nothing to report? But the thing is, he became such a fan favorite that now he's a unit in Fire Emblem Heroes, a 5-star unit that you can pull.
Oh, God.
So it's kind of like, this is hilarious. I love that. So, like, if they wanted to, I'm like, I would love it if I got, like, a small part that just became, like, a fan favorite. You know how fans have a tendency to latch on to that gremlin? The main cast, I don't care about them. Who's that guy? Sitting in the corner playing Jax by himself,
That Skyrim adventurer who took an arrow to the knee.
The Skyrim adventurer who took an arrow to the knee, exactly. I'm like, I don't have to have a big role, but, like, if you give me, like, a small role and then it just becomes popular, I'm getting every piece of merchandise with that guy on it. I'm doing it. But we've strayed. You said you were watching something?
I had just finished, actually, watching... I finished both The Last of Us and The Mandalorian.
Okay.
The Pedro Pascal binge, basically.
Yeah.
Mandalorian, not as straying far. It is. I did not enjoy it as much,
Hmm.
and it's definitely suffering, I think, from the kind of MCU style thing that Disney is really hammering in, where like, oh no, you have to watch all of our things, or else this next thing doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like season 2 ended with, oh hey little, Grogu, we are parting ways now as you go off to be a Jedi or learn to be a Jedi, and that's the end. They split up. They're separated.
Mm-hmm. But now
And then
you
season
have to
3
watch.
starts, and they're immediately no. And then season 3 starts, and they're just together. It's like anyone who didn't watch apparently the Book of Boba Fett when they just randomly took over someone else's show
Uh-huh.
is going to be questioning like, hey, what the heck?
Yeah. It was cool at first, but now I'm kind of like, studios are overdoing it with that. I'm like, you guys can stop. you know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like that whenever it was happening in comics, like, it's kind of the reason why I stopped, like, I stopped reading, like, the Marvel stuff, because it's like, every time there's an event, I have to read everyone's book to
Yes.
understand what's happening, and that's so frustrating to me. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, I just want to read Amazing Spider-Man. Can I read Amazing Spider-Man? Like, and they're like, no, you can't. You have to read the X-Men and the Fantastic Four to understand what's happening in Spider-Man. And I was like, I hate that.
And it's even worse when there's a really good storyline going in your Spider-Man comic,
Yeah.
and then the event happens and everything is derailed. No, we're just putting that story on pause. We're gonna do this event now
Yeah.
for like 5 issues or whatever it is.
Yeah, so not a fan. It's kind of a reason why I've recently been more into like the third party comics, like IDW. I read like the IDW Sonic and what's it called? Like I've always been a fan of Dark Horse, although they're not Dark Horse, but it used to be called Top Cow. What is it now? Image Comics, but they're kind of leaning into that area now too. Like where you can read Witchblade if you want, but sometimes Witchblade crosses over with the darkness, and now that's the thing. So
It's fine if it's only ever a cameo. It's when it starts becoming story relevant for the other character.
yeah,
Like Wolverine, no one cares that he just shows up at everything. It's just accepted. He could be anywhere at once.
right,
As long as nothing like story relevant happens to him, you don't need to read anything else he's in.
correct. But nah, it's not the way things be. So Dare, you said you're watching The Legends of Avrantis.
Yeah, I'm finishing that up.
Yeah, so this is a D&D live stream where it's not a live stream, right? They just post like videos of them having played a D&D session, right?
Yeah, they live stream it on Twitch.
Oh, they're live streaming on Twitch. So like the YouTube channel is just them posting their video on demands. I got you.
Yep.
So, want to tell us about it?
It's funny.
It's funny. I did tag them in the.
I'm trying not to go on like so many tangents because we are on a time crunch today because of
right.
reasons.
So
yeah, I'm on episode 24 out of like 30 some. They're still going on the Once Upon a Witchlight campaign,
yeah.
and it's just I found it really enjoyable. They've taught me a new term called sex pest, which they just call people who are being super horny sex pests. And I've translated that over to real life and just been calling people that.
Yep. So don't be a sex pest, everyone. And be the best you that you can be.
Be the best you.
And I personally am watching a new anime. It's called The Legendary Hero is Dead. Moredoor.
Yes, sir.
This anime is about you.
Oh no.
So
I don't think I want to know.
so just to put it, just very simply, here's what it is. It's a guy, and Mortar, you and I have had this discussion where you're like, I'm not the hero, where you say, I'm not the hero type. I just want to worry about me. So that's the main character of this show. He's not the hero type. He wants to be left alone to deal with his things that he wants to deal with. He wants to talk to the girl in his village that he's all about, but he also just wants to worry about his radish farm and his house and his things. He's like, I'm a very me-centric person. Now, here's what happens is one day his village is attacked by demons, and he had set up traps to catch these demons, you know, like these the Vietnam era spike traps where it's a hole covered with dirt and twigs and stuff, and when you step on it you fall through and there's just like these spikes at the bottom, right?
Yeah, as one does.
Yeah, the legendary hero shows up, kills the demons, but then he says, "Oh, hey, is somebody barbecuing over there?" and steps directly into one of those traps and dies.
Oh.
So, the main character says, "Okay, yes, that's on me, but let's be real here. Nobody wants to be known as the village who killed the legendary hero, right? Let's bury his body and pretend nothing ever happened."
Okay, yeah, okay. So series over. He buries the body and that's it. Right?
Except one of the legendary hero's primary companions, somebody who's very loyal to him, made a promise to the legendary hero that said, "If I ever fall in battle, you have to," the companion is a necromancer, "you have to revive my body and have me continue my quest until the main villain is defeated." So the necromancer shows up and, sure, you know, like, we're going to do that. We're going to revive your body. There's a small catch. The body needs a soul in it. So what she does is she says, well, the best soul that's a candidate to inhabit this body so that the body can continue moving is the soul of the man who killed the legendary hero. So she snatches the soul out of that guy's body, puts it in the legendary hero's body, and then using magic contains the main character's body in a pendant. So she said she's basically holding it hostage. She says, "You will have your body back, you will have your life back, but you have to finish the legendary hero's quest. Obviously, you're the one fit for it because you killed him." And he says, "You don't understand, that was an accident."
Also, that's blackmail. What kind of hero is this?
So, you know, like, it's basically a guy like you that's like, "I'm not interested in saving any world, I just want to go back home." Stuck in the legendary hero's body in a quest that's basically everyone that runs into him is like, "Legendary hero, yes, you're here to help us against all these demons." And it's a guy who has no business doing that. Or, "Legendary hero, last I saw you, you promised we finished our duel." And he's got no business doing any of that. So it's kind of one of those comedies.
No.
Also, the leading lady for the show is voiced by Alexis Tipton, who, if you don't know who that is, that's Kaguya from Kaguya-sama.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, like, I recognized her voice almost immediately. When she started shouting, I was like, she sounds familiar. That's Kaguya. So, yeah.
Dub or sub?
Dub.
Oh, okay.
So, kind of a fun show. It's hilarious in all the wrong ways, and, you know, it's just dumb. But anyway, that's the end for our intro. Let's get into the meat of this episode, shall we, guys?
I do enjoy a good steak.
Yes. So today we are doing our favorite alt arts, and I'm gonna have to move the chat because I just realized that the chat is in a place where it's gonna block. So we're gonna put it here. Ba-ba. All right, our favorite alt arts, guys. What's your favorite alt arts?
Ulamog.
Okay, so
Ulamog is good.
I actually put together like a list, and I said each of us should do 5, and you know, like, and we're talking like alt arts as in, you know, like an alternative art to one of your favorite cards, or alt arts as an alternative rarity or a different art style. So we kind of leaned into all of that. So I basically set this up: Moredoor first, Dare second, and me next. And I posted them in the order that you guys provided them to me. So for starters, we have Moredoor, and your first one was the Constellation variant from Theros Beyond Death.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Magic Art. Everyone, you know, people have seen the Magic Art, and a lot of it's very high quality. They get really good artists for these.
Mm-hmm.
Theros as a set is very based on Greek mythology, so you have your stereotypical pantheon of gods, and one of the themes of the set is that, hey, the gods live in the stars, basically, and the constellation variants kind of hammer this home by setting them up in these constellation styles, where, like, you know, like people ancient Greece would look at the stars and oh, that is Taurus the bull, that is uh, Cassiopeia the serpent. It's like, okay, these are the constellations that make up the gods that we play it in the game and we worship, or like legendary heroes and their deeds. So that's why here, for example, we see like Perforos, the god of the forge, bronze-blooded, and it's like his hammer, his like large torso, and you have Timurit, which is like a murderous king who betrayed like the guest rights, and you see him like murdering people in like the constellation, and it's all very good stuff. The basic lands from that set are also very good. They're like almost nebula, like the classic magic mana symbols are in there, like a nebula of space dust, and it's very evocative imagery.
Yeah, they actually look pretty sick. I imagine that they're very, very neatly foiled.
They do look very good. When you have them in your hand with the foil, it's very nice because you angle the foil just right, and the stars will actually pop up significantly more than the actual art. So it's like, okay, this is mostly the constellation, and then you turn, okay, then it fills in kind of.
I like the sound of that. Really, really cool. Theros being like the set where everyone's favorite planeswalker, Gideon Jura, debuted, correct?
He did not debut in
not in Beyond
Theros,
Death. But...
No, he did not debut in Theros at all. But he is from Theros. Like Theros is his home plane.
Yeah, interesting. I thought that he debuted there, but like, okay, so he showed up beforehand, and then they all traveled to Theros, correct?
Yeah, Theros was a not more recent, like to us, but it was a later set from when he was released. Let me see if we can actually find out what it was his initial set.
Yeah. But very Greek mythology, very, very interesting. I actually kind of really like this idea where they're like, oh,
Gideon debuted in Rise of the Eldrazi, which was the last part of the first Zendikar set.
Ah, I gotcha. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, like these particular rares, how would you rate them?
Ooh, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate them as a solid 8 because it's very on theme for what they are, and especially with the foiling, it really just leans into it with the angling it to get mostly the constellation on itself, and then you get the full picture in another way.
Yeah.
I'd give these a solid 8 for execution. It's on theme, it's pretty, and it's unique from a lot of their regular art.
Yeah, I dig them a lot. Like this was I'd seen them before, but like whenever I was researching just to get to, and something that I have to put in here, this is just me being kind of annoying, but like Magic just has no way to get like high definition images of their cards, like absolutely none. I looked everywhere. And I couldn't find like HD. I had to basically screen cap these off of like TCG Player basically because there was no other way. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, and sometimes you find them on Reddit. Like for example, like we'll talk about some later on that I did find on Reddit and they were high quality. But like not always. So it's just super weird.
I think I thought about that because you mentioned it to me before, and I think I have a theory on why that might be. Because Magic does let its artists like sell prints and profit off the art. They can sell prints, they sign work, they do like custom stuff with the art that they've already given the wizards for the cards.
Right.
So I wonder if because of that, they're more tight about getting high res HD images out there because like, hey, this is the artist stuff. I don't know though.
Yeah. So next up we have Dare, your favorites. I put these as alternate arts, lost arts, and Takahashi alternatives from Yu-Gi-Oh! You gave me a few examples here. We had offerings to the Doomed, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, Summon Skull. Like the usual Duel Monsters era boss monsters, and they have quite a number of variants.
Yeah, you gotta reprint like the classic cards. So we have the Mattel. I think it was Mattel. This or whoever had Yu-Gi-Oh before Konami. That is possibly my favorite like version of the Dark Magician that they have.
I'm pretty sure it was Bandai.
Bandai, that's what it was. It wasn't Mattel.
Yeah.
Mattel was the one that made the cards that are illegal to use in tournament play.
That was Upper Deck.
No, I'm pretty sure it was like Mattel.
Oh, okay.
It's different conversation.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh has been like in the hands of a bunch of different publishers beforehand. Konami's just the most recent and the most prolific one.
Mattel made the action figures that had a card that are expensive.
Yeah.
And then we have like the Takahashi prints, like the Summon Skull there for the. I don't remember if it was 15th anniversary or if it was 10th anniversary.
It was for something, but like this version of Summon Skull is dope as hell. I mean, it looks like a demon, which he always was. But you know, we kind of try to call it something different in the TCG because parents don't want their kids summoning demons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dark Magician from that set also looks really good, but it also just screams, "Here's my 8th grade OC edgy vibe." It's my OC, dude.
It's the Dark Magician with the black armor, right?
Yeah, it's like black and white, and he looks like he's going to loiter outside of a gas station.
Yeah, to me, he always kind of looked like, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but like Final Fantasy has a way of like designing their logos, and they always use the same artist, and the artist would just kind of like do like these ink sketches of like the main characters for the games. And that Dark Magician looks to me a lot like that. Like he was drawn for a Final Fantasy cover.
I definitely am getting Final Fantasy, like classic Final Fantasy vibes out of that Dark Magician.
Yeah, like classic Final Fantasy vibes, right? So yeah, you know, these are dope. I have exactly 2 of these, and they're the Takahashi alternative Blue Eyes and the Red Eyes. Just also the Megatin ones, the ones that came out in the recent Megatins with the alternative arts. So yeah,
I wasn't a fan of the alt arts from the Megatins for Blue Eyes, and I think Dark Magician Girl was the other one, which it's not bad, but the 2 that I have on there I feel are a lot better because you have the movie pack one, and that and Secret Rare just looks amazing, and then you have the Dark Magician Girl, which was lost art that shouldn't have got reprinted but did get reprinted, so it took the value of the card from like a $50 to $60 card down to like 20.
Yeah, so
that
it's pretty great. You know, like I love seeing alt arts like this. Offerings to the Doomed, just really amazing.
Well, yeah, that one too it's very religious.
Yeah,
looking.
We can't have the religious iconography, so we had to change it. Yeah.
And you have a cross in front of a stained glass window, wherein the artwork we got is just like candles.
Candles, right?
Yeah, I think it's just like candles on a table.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 5 here is the Brilliant Stars Trainer Gallery art from Pokemon. You know, like, no, Pokemon to me has always been like one of those shows where I'm like, okay, if I didn't live in this world, that's the world I would want to live in, you know, because it just seems so chill. You know, like you got your trainers, you got your Pokemon, and whenever like the Pokemon movies do those slice of life openings at the start of any movie where they're like the world of Pokemon, and then they just show you Pokemon living in the wild. To me, I'm like, oh my god, I would love to live there. You know, just this world looks so vibrant, so beautiful, and so wholesome. And that's what these trainer gallery cards do. They put a Pokemon in the card art along with their trainer, just living life. You know, it's like a slice of life thing, and it's really cool. You see Gary Mother Effing Oak on all of the Eevee arts. Basically, he's on the Flareon, he's on the Vaporeon, and on the Jolteon. You got N with Zekrom. You got, you know, like a couple of gym leaders like Morty with his Dusknoir. I think these are really, really beautiful art cards, and you know, like they have like the full art design on them. You know, so whenever you get them, they're usually a foil, but the foil doesn't take away from like the artwork. It actually kind of complements them. It's a very mild foiling pattern, and they just look fucking great in my opinion. I think they're really, really dope.
I like the Dusknoir one 'cause
Yeah.
that's like one of I like those types.
Yeah.
And I like the look of the. I actually like the look of the octillery one. When it's just sitting in the bucket on like a fishing pier, just blowing bubbles.
Yes. And that's what a majority of them are, basically. It's just, like a slice of life. Every now and then you'll have like the Gary one where they're actually in battle, right? But like the auxiliary one or the alchemy one where she's just sitting with the cafe guy, from Sword and Shield. Yeah, pretty dope. I like these. And
Wait,
like if
Shieldbert?
what?
They're sitting with Shieldbert?
No, he's not sitting with Shieldbert. Swordward and Shieldbert, the worst designs of Pokemon. Don't at me. But what's it called? I was gonna say something regarding. Oh, if you're a longtime fan of Pokemon, you'll recognize some of these trainers. But like if you're just like a card collector, it might kind of get over your head. Like for example, the Ariados one has Janine on it, which is Koga's daughter, right? And like if you've been a fan of Pokemon for a long, long time, you know who Janine is. But like the casual collector would have no idea, wouldn't care. But it's kind of what I like about these arts is like it's not just the Pokemon, it's the people in the Pokemon world, it's the world itself. I'm like these are dope. I like these.
People and Pokemon together.
People and Pokemon together, exactly. Like apes together strong. And Moredoor, your next one is the Art Deco variants from New Capenna.
Okay, so Art Deco is a style that a lot of people probably have seen it. They just don't know what they saw, but it's like the style, like Batman, the animated series. Gotham was very Art Deco in that case. A lot of big kind of stained glass images, kind of like 1920s aesthetic somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
And New Capenna was actually a little bit of a controversial set when it came out because a lot of people have always been like scared of like technology and magic. Hey, Magic the Gathering as a whole universe is supposed to be kind of leaning more towards the kind of fantasy style. So like people are like, oh, I want to see guns and magic. I want to see like power armor or cars or stuff. And then New Kamigawa Neon Dynasty came out first, but it was so techno like advanced and it was so futuristic that it was still fantasy and people were very okay with it, and that set's sort of amazing. New Capenna with its 20s aesthetic and like actual cars and basically actual guns didn't get quite as much love. But I loved the style of it by like harkening back to like those 20s styles. Like you see here Obnixilis, who's a demon planeswalker, but here he is in like a pinstripe mafioso suit. You see like the sharp, like in the chair, like you see like kind of the sharp lines like spreading out upwards from like the low just spreading out higher as it goes.
Reminds me a little bit of Ozymandias from like Watchmen, like from the movie, not from the comic, but like yeah, the movie Ozymandias had a very Art Deco feel to him.
Yeah. And then on next one you see like Elspeth, who's like in a very kind of 1920 kind of flapper, like wealthy kind of socialite look to her, which is kind of at odds with her kind of down-to-earth knightly persona, but it's just such a cool. Both of them are such cool images. I just really love them.
Yeah.
Like I like the 20s aesthetics. I don't know how I feel about the set as a whole. Like bring in like, oh hey, yeah, we're just gonna take the bus over to this next part of the city in my magic world. It's like, huh.
Yeah, here's my magic bus.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's still fantasy. It runs on this magic resource material. It's like, I don't think that's enough to me.
You know what? Like, hear me out. This is exactly how I felt about The Legend of Korra. Whenever they started getting technologically advanced in a world that was previously largely fantasy. I was like, I don't know how I feel about cars in this show. I don't know how I feel about mechs in this show, where the world of Avatar was previously just like, oh, we have elemental magic, and like everyone lives in like villages and this and that, and all of a sudden Republic cities like New York is like, I
was more okay with the cars in that one. The mechs were a little far from it, and especially the Kuvira mechs.
Yes. Brother Gamma has joined us. Oh, hello, Brother Gamma. Yeah, the Kuvira mechs were very extra. I was like, no. Like, you know what? I would have been fine with the train. The train for me was like the least whatever, you know? Like, I was just, yeah, doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
But like cars and mechs, I was like, you're losing me. Like, even, and they had airplanes at some point. I was like, you're really losing me. I'm like, I'm a little concerned as to what the Team Avatar projects are going to look like in the future. But yeah, that's something for another day. Dare.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, I had your next one as Wrath of God variants.
Yeah, because board wipes are everyone's favorite.
Yeah, like, is there a particular one that's your specific favorite?
I like the older looking ones, like the first one there with the old borders on it. It's the one I actually play in my mono white deck.
Mm.
But there's just so many different variants of Wrath of God, and they all just depict like a giant ball of light destroying everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then your opponents hate you because, you just destroyed everything.
I do gotta say, I'm always a sucker for the versions that have a good amount of flavor text, and it helps when it's full art too, so you don't even lose the art from it. But like that one right there, just with the flavor text, each side prayed for the god to smite the other. In the end, all their prayers were answered.
I do love the flavor text. It's something that me being primarily a Yu-Gi-Oh player, I feel like we miss out on that. You know, like why are vanilla monsters the only ones that have flavor text? You know,
Check this out.
Yeah. Oh God, fucking Abram being the worst. It's not even flavor text. It's quote unquote check this out, and it's gone down in history, in Yu-Gi-Oh history, as the biggest meme. Is like, wow, this is the worst flavor text on a card.
Remind me to tell you the meme of like the biggest magic flavor thing. It's just become Avacyn's collar.
Yeah, we will discuss it.
The issue with Abram is that they had like a poem in the OCG for what his flavor text was, and it was like reciting basically what was happening in that lore.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to check this out.
In the TCG, they're like, okay, no, people don't have any patience or anything for prose or for theme or for like just legends and like lore. So just check this out. I was like, God help me.
That's the issue with the Avacyn's collar magic card that became a meme, because it is the most magic cards usually have pretty good flavor text. It's known for it, but this is the most clumsily written thing, and it just keeps going. It's like one of those large blocks of flavor text, and it just doesn't stop being terrible. It gets worse as it goes.
We actually have something on here with a large block of flavor text, and we will talk about it. So prepare yourself for that one. It's coming up next. Not next, but it's coming down the line. My next favorite is the parallel rares from the Theme Booster Classic collection on Digimon. For those in the know, Digimon used to have a card game back in like the early 2000s. And it basically, the card game died at some point here in the States. People weren't playing it. The new Digimon card game came out, and everybody likes it. Everyone's all like, wow, this is a fun game. Most people who are a little burnt out with their home game and they play Digimon, they say this is a breath of fresh air. This is a really fun game. But for this particular, for the Theme Booster Classic Collection set, Digimon actually printed cards that were with the same border and the same look as the classic cards from the early 2000s. So the ones on the left here are what the new Digimon card looks like, but the ones on the right are the classic style. So whenever they release these, a lot of people who played the game back in the day kind of like were pulling these out of packs, and they were like, oh my God, it's a huge surprise. Like, because back in the day, I've been a fan of Pokemon forever, but for a while there, I was a bigger fan of Digimon than I was a fan of Pokemon, right? So when I never actually played the Digimon card game, but I collected the cards, and I remember like the one that I wanted the most out of any one of them was the War Greymon, and that one you could only get if you like got it out of like a Taco Bell, kids meal, right? Because it used to come with like with the kids meal, and I was like, man, and you know, like every time you go there, you get like the machine Dramon. I was like, I don't want machine Dramon, I want more Greymon. So whenever I opened up like the classic booster collection, and I pulled like the War Greymon that I wanted back then, I was like, oh my god, this is great, this is excellent. And yeah, so it's just like a real treat for nostalgia, you know, like for nostalgia fans, you know, that kind of thing for fans of the classic game. So yeah, just a lot of fun.
I actually really like the sound of that. Like that just sounds fun. With like, okay, this game or this version of it is like super old or even discontinued,
Mhm.
and then it gets like, okay, it's like a more modern version of the card, maybe like maybe it's a mechanically different card, effectively, but it has that old classic art,
Yes.
and it's like,
And fun
yeah,
fact, that is actually what was going on with one of Dare's too. Like whenever he mentioned the Yu-Gi-Oh alternate arts, that Dark Magician that's on the slide there is the original art for Dark Magician, the first ever printed by Bandai. So before Yu-Gi-Oh was ever like, you know, um, considered being printed, like I guess for like a real actual card game. This is the Dark Magician that we had. I think Bandai actually printed like a whole series of cards, but like the
Yeah, they
rules were
had two
different.
sets.
Yeah, the rules were different. Like, you know, because back then Takahashi hadn't made rules for it or anything, so they Bandai made up their own rules basically. And this is the Dark Magician that they had. It's just recently that Konami's gotten their hands on this artwork. But moving on to the next one, Mordor, you had the schematic variants from Brothers War.
and then crash again.
No, did we?
No.
No,
No.
we're still here. Yeah, so
No, okay.
you had the schematics variant from Brothers War?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay.
These look sick. I like these.
Okay, yeah. So the Brothers War is a very like big storyline in old school Magic,
Mm.
where two artificer brothers are basically just going to war with each other, and they're both like the best artificers around. They can build like these giant elaborate machines, and they hate each other's guts. And they just keep building more and more elaborate giant death machines to like one up each other, that it almost destroys their entire world.
This is
And-
alternate reality Tesla versus Edison.
Exactly. And these are like some versions of like some of the most iconic artifact creature cards in the game,
Mm.
and they do them in the style. It's like almost like a little bit like Da Vinci style. Like you could really see it with the ornithopter there,
Yes.
like Da Vinci style schematics and like profiles and sketches and plans. But they use it with just these like Wormcore Engine is a very modern card,
Right.
and it actually does it with the schematic and with the old classic MTG artifact frame. Like artifact cards in Magic used to have that brown border with, you know, kind of off-white text box,
Hmm.
and it all just really works together really well.
Yeah, I'm actually a huge fan of the ornithopter one. And this kind of stuff, like I'm a sucker for it. Anytime that I see like blueprints and stuff for like anything that's not actually existing, like for example, recently I came across like blueprint designs on an art website for like a Gundam, you know, and just like seeing the things like, okay, this thing obviously doesn't exist, but this is an artist's rendition of what this fantasy machine would look like, right?
Oh yeah.
That's just super dope to me. I'm like, I absolutely love that whenever I see it. And especially, you know, whenever like the machine is super complicated. Like, for example, I love the Ornithopter. I think it's cool. It looks very Da Vinci, sure. But the Worm Coil engine, that's just like, this thing doesn't exist. I can't imagine how it could exist. But look at the designs. Like, this is great.
Yeah, you see the two worms kind of like spiraling together into the one.
Yes. Oh, it's so dope, man. I love it. You know, like it just, you know, like I've said before, you know, like it's not that I'm not a fan of Magic. It's just I suck at the game, but I do appreciate the level of effort that goes into their art because that is just legit, just mwah, chef's kiss, you know.
Yeah, this one's one of the 10 out of 10s for me. I think this is absolutely perfect for everything it's going for. It's doing iconic artifacts. It's using this cool style with the blueprint schematics,
Mm.
and it's also sometimes doing it in like the old retro frame.
Yes, excellent, 100%. Dare I have your next one as Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and I guess this is an unvariant?
No, that's the secret lair version.
The secret layer
So-
variant.
Oh, I wonder if it's
They-
the one I'm thinking of.
The cereal
They-
one?
They make a bunch of different secret lair cards,
Mhm.
which are just like funny, different alternate versions of cards. So for Ulamog and a couple others, they have like Atali and I think Slimefoot, and they're all just like on cereal boxes. And when you turn it over to the backside looks like the back of a cereal box, where
And it has the effect?
it has, yeah, it has
Oh,
the effects and everything.
I wasn't aware of this. I thought that this was just like a poster or something, you know? I didn't think that this was a real card.
Nope, it's a playable card.
Oh, this is crazy. I love it.
And that's the secret lair artworks are pretty cool because they have a bunch of different ones. They have a new one that's coming out where like all of them are like cute rainbow cats.
Yeah, we will
They
get to
have-
the rainbow cats.
They have one where it's like they have like Fortnite skins for everything.
I love how like the calorie box is just like it's converted mana cost.
Yeah.
I love that it's got its toughness and its power over here, and it looks like it's just like marshmallows that fell out of the bowl. This is
My
great.
favorite detail is that the actual cereal bits are the colorless mana symbol.
This is great. I love this. Yeah, like I said, I thought that this was just a poster. I didn't know that this was a playable card. This makes it so much better.
And if you know Magic, the term devoid means that it's colorless. So
It's devoid of
Ulamog
flavor.
sees it devoid of flavor.
Oh, this
So playing off that it's a colorless creature and also just haha funny.
I love the way that they tried to cartoonify his face too. This is just
Hey, he's smiling. Look at him.
yeah. This is a win like all around for me. This is just an all around win as far as card design goes. Just 10 out of 10. Just like his toughness and and power. Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Now, Mordor, you mentioned that your previous one was the schematics, and you mentioned the Da Vinci and that. My next favorite, it kind of harkens to that as well. These are the codexes from the Outsider set on Flesh and Blood. The top cards here are the way that the card normally looks, and we have Codex of Blood Rot, Codex of Frailty, and Codex of Inertia. And their alternative arts look like pages out of a Da Vinci type notebook. So their designs are very like old alchemy textbook looking. Like so you have like the Codex of Blood Rot showing the effects of the blood rot as it takes hold of a living organism. The Codex of Frailty almost looks like a doctor's like an old timey doctor's journal where they're like outlining the anatomy of something, right? And the Codex of Inertia, like, oh, what happens whenever something is in the way of something that's moving, So I think these are just like, whenever I saw this was the idea for this episode, by the way. Because whenever I saw these, I was like, yeah, you know what? Flesh and Blood does alt arts really well. And this is just one example of it. And
Yeah, this is another one I would call a 10 out of 10 alternate art.
yeah, just 10 out of 10. I can't say much to Flesh and Blood because I've only played it a few times, but it is a fun game. Like every time that I can get into the groove of it, I like it. And just their art design, I would say, it kind of falls in the same league as Magic, where it's kind of like it's old-timey fantasy, but like sometimes it can lean into different genres. Like there's the artificer characters generally fall into like kind of steampunk looks and stuff like that. So it is that kind of artwork on cards that's just very, very attention to detail, very, very, how do you put this? Like classic D&D stylish, but also like with some weird future funk elements to it. I love it. And these cards in particular are just 10 out of 10. I love this.
Yeah, I agree with you here.
Yeah. But yes, speaking of your next one was the ink variants from March of the Machine.
Oh yeah, I love my kind of I love my horror,
Yeah.
and I love my kind
We
of
all love our
dark body horror.
horrors.
Yeah, we do. Uh,
Horrors beyond
and
our imagination. It just sounded to me like you said something different. I was like, what?
yep. But the ink blots take
Yes.
one of Magic's iconic villains, the Phyrexians, which are kind of like a sci-fi body, like flesh and metal body horror monstrosity race that want to bring all the world kind of into one, and they do this with a oil that kind of spreads like a plague.
Mhm.
And so what they did with these are the ink blots to kind of replicate the kind of like oil style and like the idea of this oil spreading. They took some iconic Phyrexian cards and characters and did like almost an ink blot style for them. And I just really like it's like a black and white style that they did it better than they've done a black and white style before with Innistrad.
Mhm.
It did not work out as well because literally all they did with that one was like kind of just take the color out of the existing art, which didn't work well. These were like made specifically to be black and white in this style, and it just the effect is awesome, especially I think on the Gingiataxis.
Yes. I love them. And, one of the things as an artist that I can appreciate is a lot of the times the brush strokes are meant to denote motion. And you can 100% see that in Gingiataxis, where it's almost like this swirling, maelstrom of just blackness. And I 100% dig it. It's very aggressive. Vorniclex, not so much. He's very stationary. But Gingiataxis, though.
Yeah, Gingiataxis, there's a couple other ones that are pretty good examples that are more in line with Jin.
Mm-hmm.
But I had Vorniclex in there as an example, just as like a more clear, like, hey, this is less abstract, more clear what it is. Jin
Right.
is really the iconic version of this style, I think.
Yes, I dig it. I think these are cool. Not as cool as the schematics, but I still like them.
Yeah, no, these I think the schematics are all good. I had a lot of trouble picking out examples for those.
Mm-hmm.
These Jin was definitely the clear favorite. There were a couple other ones that were good. These ones I give like kind of like an 8 out of 10, depending on which specific one you're looking at.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I like that. Dare, your next one that we had was the kitty variants from Magic.
Yeah, these are more secret layers that are coming out soon. And
we have Felidar Sovereign and Descendants Path, but they're kitties.
they are drastically different from the original artwork. And they're just cute and cuddly.
I actually wouldn't have believed you if you told me that these were Magic cards if you just showed them to me. I would have thought that they were like somebody's DeviantArt variants of them. Like, so to find out that these are actual legit Wizards of the Coast variants, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, these are also save shooter, like, once these, like, super bad. I think he bought them.
I might give me that Felidar Sovereign for my cat tribal deck. just to have the cute kitty amongst the rest of them, just like a different, like a foil to the rest of them. All the rest of the cats are savage and brutal and like meow, and this one's just like mew. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, very good. Let's see. So I don't play the next game. I don't at all. But like I have some cards and I have looked at some other ones because I think that a lot of the times their designs are kind of cool. So these are the autograph variants from Weiss Wars. Weiss Wars being one of those card games that by and large just basically like prints cards that are screen caps from anime. and just kind of like puts them out there. I'd be like, yeah, it's a card game, but like it's all the card art is just we just screen cap some anime and printed it on a card, right? However, they do something
Oh
really
God.
cool, and what they do is they actually get make a variant that's like the highest rarity in that set, right? And they'll get the voice actors for these characters to sign the card. And that's what makes it so like I need that card. That's what makes it such a chase card, right? So like if you're a fan of anime, you could like open a box of Weiss Schwarz and pull a card with like one of your favorite characters that's been autographed by their voice actor. So that I think that's kind of really cool. So you know,
That's actually a really great idea. I think more card games should start doing that.
right?
Get like the artist signatures. Obviously you're printing them out, like it's just like mass signature, but it's still cool to have one with the artist signature on it like that. That'd be awesome as like a chase special version.
Yeah, and like
I had sent you the one with Okayu's signature, and the reason why I like it so much is the because her name is an onigiri,
right.
which the card she's signed is her eating an onigiri.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of really fun too, because like a lot of so Weiss Schwarz has also done like the Hololive, which are VTubers, right? So these VTubers are getting printed on cards, and they're just putting autographs on their cards, and Hololive being like one of those hugely popular, like what do you call it, collectors things where people collect Hololive stuff. So now you can get like your Gura cards and your Corones and your Okayus, and it's just like it's kind of fun. And same thing like right here with Yang from Ruby, where you have like the voice actress sign it, and she also puts like a little quote on there, or Shion from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, where like part of her signature is the slime, or not, actually it's not a slime, it's just basically like a rough depiction of her character. I just noticed the horn, but yeah, like it's little fun thing. And Moredoor, I agree with you. I think that more card games should do this. I think this is really good. So yeah. But your next one, by the way, Moredoor, was the basic land cycle from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and I agree with you. This is a good one.
Yeah, the original Kamigawa set leaned very heavily into kind of Japanese folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of almost before it was cool to be really into Japan.
Yeah.
And the problem was they went too deep. Like this is the time period when people's interest in Japan was, oh, samurai are cool and ninjas are awesome, very surface level.
Yeah.
And the original Kamigawa went deep into folklore where like no one knew what they were talking about.
Right. So like
That's
this was before the huge anime boom that made Japan kind of
exactly. It was before the huge anime boom. When Neon Dynasty finally came out and they did the cyberpunk aesthetic, they did that because they wanted to like, okay, let's make this a little more mainstream relatable.
Mm-hmm.
But they did these special versions though that still kind of hit that old school Japanese style. So they have these Japanese like landscape photos to represent their basic lands. And it's really cool. Like and it's awesome because a lot of times the basic land alternative art, sometimes you can have trouble identifying, hey, what's a forest, what's an island? There's all these weird conflicting arts. I don't know what's what.
Mm-hmm.
These still maintain the ability to be really clear because you have the Japanese lettering with the mana symbol, like very clearly like stamped on there. Like the mountain, you could tell immediately it's a mountain. Oh, look, it's red. But it's just such a classic kind of Japanese sound. I also just now noticed like you have like the dragon kind of circling around the mountain there.
Right.
And these are just some of my favorite basic land.
They look like
around.
oil paintings a little bit, like the classic style, like the wood block paintings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just fucking dope. That being said, I 100% agree with you. These are some of the best looking lands that I've ever seen, and I actually did order myself a few to put into my what do you call it, artifact deck, because I was like, yeah, you know what, I can get behind getting a handful of these just to cover my basic lands.
I think getting just like one set of like one each of 5 and just having them in like a little display thing would just be awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool. I like them. And like I said, like I heavily, even though I'm bad at the game, I heavily respect Magic for its art direction. This is just they're like like two things that I'm like I don't play the game, but I love their art direction is like anything Riot Games, and what's it called, Magic the Gathering. I'm like I'm bad at both, but I love their art. I think their art is excellent. And this is just a prime example of why, it's because they don't do anything half-assed. They really like go full ass, and I dig it. Dare, I did mention that I had trouble determining what categories you had put your cards into, and I had trouble determining where the line was between one and the other. So your next slide is called just an absolute fuck ton of lands. Also collective voyage, the scourge of fleets. This was a lot. I didn't understand the category.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Yeah. You did a thing there.
I couldn't understand. I was like, where's the line? There's so many cards. I don't.
So collective voyage is another secret layer card that I just really like. I like the card, and I really like the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Get Twisted. It's not actually Collective Voyage, it's Get Twisted because you pay 1 mana and then you get every single land out of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just Scourge of Fleets is another card that I just really like. It says your opponent's board, go bye-bye.
Yeah.
And then there's the lands.
Now you mentioned like a full text wall of lands, and this is what I was mentioning earlier. I was like, yeah, we're gonna talk about like when we were talking about like the card with like way too much lore. I'm like, we're gonna talk about a card with too much text on it, and this basic land plains that just is nothing but text.
So I don't remember if it's part of the secret layer or what they did it for, but they have the full art cards that are a card with extended art. So they also decided, well, it'd be a good idea to have full text planes. So the cards that literally have like no text on them at all, other than saying like basic land planes, they decided to give them a full text description of what the card does. And I just think those are amazing. I want to make a deck that has nothing but those in it.
That's kind of hilarious because like a land is like one of the most basic things in the game where like it almost bears no explaining, right? Like we know what it does. Like half the like basic lands have by and large never had any text on them as far as I know, except for like the thing that tells you what it is. But like this is hilarious to me because it's like, okay, so you know what a land is. We all know what a land is. Like people playing the game for the first.
Here's a full description of what a land is.
Yeah, here's a full description in words as to what it does mechanically.
Yeah, it's like they took like from the actual basic core Magic rules that are in like the actual rule book. It's like, yeah, this is all just core gameplay stuff that you shouldn't need to be explained on the card.
Right.
Let's just put the entire thing from the rulebook onto the card, like the in-depth, like full breakdown.
I think that's funny, man. Like, it goes to show that Wizards of the Coast sometimes can have like an excellent sense of humor. Because
and then, go ahead.
No, I was done.
And then the rest of the pictures on the right side or left side, I can't tell anymore. Those are the basic lands from the Unfinity set.
They look cool. Like for me, like I couldn't tell what they were. I thought that the top part of it kind of looks like you're looking at a microverse. Like if you're and the rings around the mana symbol kind of like make me think that you're like subatomic. Whereas the bottom half of it kind of looks like you're going universal. Yeah.
You are actually correct. They like some of the Unfinity kind of joke sets do take place in space.
Which
like
the Infinity set was just like a space themed set because they had a bunch of like astronauts and stuff as monsters. And
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like Jace Beleren Bard.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they have Space Balerion as an astronaut planeswalker.
Space Valerian's better than what I had in mind. I was like, do they have Space Jace?
They have a sticker mechanic where you get a package of stickers with words on them,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain cards that have like a blank line, and you can put a sticker on there. Well, there's a space goblin or blank space goblin,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the words that you can put on there is mind goblin. Do you know what a mind goblin is?
I wouldn't mind gobbling on some food right now because I'm hungry.
You ruined the surprise.
Yeah, swing and a miss. But these are cool. I like this, and I like it whenever a card game is just like so aware of what they are that they can 100% make fun of themselves. This full text planes is one of my favorite things that I have ever seen, and just for the memes, I love it. But I guess lastly for me, my last ones here are the maximum gold El Dorado variants from Yu-Gi-Oh, because we don't very often get like alternative arts. A lot of the times if you get an alternative art, it's not alternative, it's just that's what it was, and the TCG and censorship in America made it look not good. But these are legit alternative arts to cards that exist. So we went from roller skating IP Masquerena to Mission Impossible IP Masquerena on a motorcycle. We went from Nightmare Unicorn to Nightmare Corruptor Ibli riding on Nightmare Unicorn, the corpse of Mech Knight Yellow Star that she reanimated into this monstrosity. And we have Eldritch the Golden Lord into sexy Eldritch the Golden Lord. So, just kind of fun, like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't do a lot of alt arts on things, and I think they should. I think that a full art should be a thing. As a matter of fact, we have people on DeviantArt mocking up what a full art on Yu-Gi-Oh would look like, and they always look really good. I'm like, why wouldn't you, Yeah, every other card game does full arts. Why not you? I don't get it. I'm complaining. But I thought that...
I'd really like to see Yu-Gi-Oh like expand its artistic style to like, be willing to bend and go different directions sometimes.
Yeah, and it's not like they haven't before, It's just that it usually, if it does happen, they don't stick with it. Like they'll do it once and then they'll like leave it alone, or like it'll come in like an anniversary set or something, and then they'll be like, yeah, and then they'll leave it alone. If anything, like what you'll see in Yu-Gi-Oh is like alternative rarities, to where like the foiling is different, or like they'll try something new. Like for example, here in El Dorado, they did the gold rares. Which have like that weird like gold foiling over the card, which looks really cool, but the quality control on them was ass. So like the gold foiling would just kind of like peel off. It was bad. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm like 100%. I'm like, do alternative arts. Like there's no reason why you shouldn't. And that people like me who are into the game will 100% go for the alternative arts. My Eldritch deck doesn't use regular Eldritch; it uses sexy Eldritch. Where I can, I use alternative Nightmare Unicorn. I don't use regular Nightmare Unicorn. So yeah, like alternative arts, and you don't even have to like put them in separate sets. Like just. You make that like your Starlight rare. Like every core set sometimes comes with a Starlight rare, and it's usually just like a different foiling on a card that was already printed in that set. Oh, well, if you're gonna do different foiling, just go ahead and make a different art for it. Just make it a little extra special. But again, that's me complaining. But these are my favorites for the card game that I actually play. But yeah, so that's our list, guys. If you have something to add to any of the things that you put on there, what would you have to say?
Going off the alternate arts that you have there from El Dorado, the Bigfoot alternate art's pretty good.
Yeah, the danger.
The abominable snowman.
Yeah,
abdominal.
The abdominal. The abdominal snowman. He's got a six-pack.
I tried to do the silly haha, and I fucking failed on doing that too.
Yes.
It also had Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, where she's like looking at the moon into like a little pond.
Yeah,
Really like that
ghost.
art.
The ghost girls all have alternate arts. I just noticed. Yes. Like Ash Blossom has an alternate, so does Ghost Bell, so does Ghost Reaper, etc., etc.
I mean, I think like the classic Yu-Gi-Oh boss monsters like your Blue Eyes, your Dark Magician, your Red Eyes, they have so many different alternative arts because they know like, hey, there's fans of these cards who like want alternate versions. They like, oh yeah, I want to have like all the printings of Blue Eyes or something like that. Or
Yeah.
like I want to have like a different art for every one of the 3 copies in my deck or whatever.
Right.
And I really think they should push that more. Like, hey, if there's a boss monster for an archetype you're pushing out,
Yeah.
make sure that boss monster has some alternate versions so that people who really like that archetype can get like the special version if they want it.
Agreed. Like honestly, like we've had so many baller boss monsters recently that I'm like, look, you're wasting time like just pandering to DM nostalgia. Like yeah, we all know Blue Eyes, we all love Blue Eyes, but why don't we have an alternate art of Mirror Jade? Why don't we have an alternate art of Guardian Chimera? Like it just like these recent boss monsters who see play in meta relevant decks. I'm like, give us an alternate art of those. Like I
got
think
alternate arts of Cyber or Firewall Dragon.
yeah, Firewall Dragon being one of the only ones, right? The only other one that I can think about is Cyber Dragon Infinity has an alternate art. But like, yeah, like that's
Rescue Cat.
Rescue Cat. I use the alternate art Rescue Cat, but
Plasma.
Plasma does too. Yeah, that's true. So they exist. It's not that they don't. It's just like they get so, I don't know, like Konami's just like so weird about it. Like they'll do it on the weirdest things, like for example when they did the alternate art of Rescue Cat, nobody was playing Rescue Cat in anything. Like I'm like do it for a deck that's in the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Like
I like that they gave Firewall 2 alt arts in the same set.
yeah, they did.
And they're both basically the common rarity.
Yeah, and the only reason that I can think that they wouldn't is because Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those games where if you stick around long enough, your boss monster will evolve into a different thing. So like your Blue Eyes White Dragon technically is the same thing as like your Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. Technically is the same thing as your Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. Technically is the same thing as you see what I'm saying? Like your
retrains.
Yeah, like the retrain. So it'll have a retrain where the retrain is a different art, but it's technically the same card for all intents and purposes, right? So like I think that's primarily the reason why they wouldn't do, because they're like, yeah, like we can make a reprint of Galaxy Eyes, but like what about Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon? That's a different card. What about like Galaxy Eyes Cipher Dragon? That's a different art. I guess, but like I'm 100% with Moredoor. Like if you're pushing an archetype to be like the archetype, give it a card give the boss monster an alternative treatment. Like for example, when Tier Elements was popular, like before the ban list that absolutely massacred it, that Valentine's Day massacred it. What's it called? Give us alternate versions of Kit Kalos, like Tier Elements Kit Kalos the regular one, Tier Elements Kit Kalos the full art, and Tier Elements Kit Kalos the swimsuit variant. I would 100% get those.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, that's one that actually missed my list was the Card Fight Vanguard swimsuit alternate arts. That's a thing. Like so somebody on Reddit was like, hey, on the Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit, it's like, boys, I just figured out that Card Fight Vanguard has a swimsuit rarity. I'm leaving. I was like, yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, that's it for today. What do you guys think?
I think it's good.
It's good.
I think more art is good.
More art is good. I like more art. More art is good. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just moving like the elements of the stream around because now everything's back to normal now that we're no longer presenting. But yeah, so like really cool. I like artwork on cards. I'm a fan of card games. You know, like even the ones that I don't play, I can appreciate the art. You know, so like I dig Magic. You know, like I can kind of gush on it because I think it's got good direction. I love the idea of the autograph variants. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Whenever I open like the
Out of all things you discussed today, I think the artist signature variants need to be the one that all card games kind of start adapting.
Yes, 100%.
Like the only problem is Yu-Gi-Oh, to my knowledge, doesn't really credit their artists.
They
on the cards,
do not.
So,
Like
so that may be a problem with that one.
We all know who the artists are because, you know, like they're on Twitter and we know who they are. But yeah, like Konami doesn't acknowledge who they are. Like the only artist that's ever listed on any card is Kazuki Takahashi at the bottom of every single card, even if he didn't draw it. But yeah, you know, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, they should start crediting their artists. Hell, Pokemon does that. Digimon does that. You know, like Flesh and Blood, Magic, all of them do that. Yu-Gi-Oh is the only weird one. But the codexes, the schematic variants, really really cool. The lands that Dare brought up, also really cool. I was unaware that those existed. And oh my god, the Ulamog cereal thing. I'm losing my mind over it. That is just the coolest, the most hilarious artwork in any card that I've ever seen ever. That
I so wish they were able to make like an old school cereal commercial, like a cartoon cereal commercial to advertise that set, that
yes.
player.
Oh, that would have been so dope. Which is something that Magic is not technically adverse to, right? I mean, like they sometimes do like small animations to promote their sets. I remember for War of the Spark, they had a whole one with like an alternative version of Linkin Park's In the End with Liliana, just like.
Yeah, that was their big one. They've done a couple other CGI trailers.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was the first one they did was the one that was the biggest success,
Mm-hmm.
and all the other ones since have kind of. The two they did after that went kind of downhill.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of picked back up with the Phyrexia set they did recently, but
Yeah. And
they've been hit or miss. The War of the Spark one with the Linkin Park cover and Bolus, that was the biggest one.
it was pretty dope. I remember seeing it and I was like, oh man, like even if I didn't play the card game, I was like, I would absolutely watch this movie. 100% would. And it's another thing that I think card games are kind of like sleeping on is I'm like shorts. I'm like do some shorts for your cards, you know, like yeah, some Vanguard and Yu-Gi-Oh are weird because they have anime attached to them, but like you know what, Pokemon has an anime attached to it too, and they don't care. Like they'll make like offshoot series of stuff like Twilight Wings and stuff like that, where it's just like yeah, we're just covering different stories. This is a huge world. Why would we? Like put all our eggs on the Pokemon anime. We got different stories we want to tell. I'm like, yes, exactly. So you know, it is what I say. But all that being said, thank you everybody for joining us. We had the Siggybot, Lurk Braun, King of Canadian Hill, Brother Gamma, the Rose Switch Duelist. We had Save Shooter. Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm very happy that we got our problems with broadcasting fixed, and you know I'll look into swapping to a different broadcasting software, I guess, because this one's been having problems lately, or I might just delete it and reinstall it. I don't know. But with that being said, thank you guys for joining us. It's been fun. I hope you guys had fun. Tell us in the comments who your favorite alt art is. Be sure to like and set your battle phasers to sub. King of Canadian Hills idea. I'm not going to be like Konami. I give credit where credit is due. This is the Bard, the Midnight Bard. And also been joined by Derringer and by Moredoor. You guys want to say bye to the audience?
Bye.
Farewell, audience.
There we go. Adios, everybody. We'll see you next time. Also, incidentally, I should mention I'll be back tomorrow streaming more Fire Emblem Engage. See you then!